My neighbors slashed my tires and I'm about to sign them up for every mailing list I can think of. What are small legal ways you have gotten back at someone that has wronged you? My dad ran a concrete company a while back. They had an issue over a driveway that they did for a company that was putting up a premier neighborhood. Anyways, the company was refusing to pay, so my dad parked his crappy old work truck in front of their show homes with huge sign in it saying XXXXXXX concrete is suing XXXXX homes over shady business practices. They settled out of court the next day. If you really wanted to get back at them, sign them up for the local chapter of the Jehovah's Witnesses. My brother did this to me. It was horrible. Put a shortcut to shut down eggs in their startup folder. My new butthole neighbors cut some bushes that were planted on their side of the fence off at the top of the fence, leaving a bunch of excess plant matter to die hanging over on my side. I retaliated by severely trimming back all of my trees that were providing shade to their AC units and windows as to heat up their house and cost them money. It'll cost them hundreds over a few years, maybe. Put glitter in their shampoo. I don't care how, just find a way. In their car's air vents. I hated my apartment neighbor, so I applied him to every online school in America and a few Texas tourism agencies. This is my heck. I checked out what a grad school loan would be through Watchavia once, and they must have contracts with a bunch of online universities because I was hassled by them for about 4 months. The best thing you can do is use the legal method. Your tires were fine before they impounded it. After it was impounded, they were slashed. File a police report. Let your insurance know. At the very least, you can also contact a lawyer if you wish to either sue the towing company or the neighbors. Do not confront them yourself, since it will probably only make them angrier. If you want to go even more legal on them, there may be some city ordinance that prevents them from building a fence like that. Contact your local zoning commission. Make a complaint. If you have a lot of time and energy, you could even join the zoning board to get it taken down. Depending on where you are in law, this may be a fairly easy thing to do. Legal revenge is the best revenge. I should add, as always, this is not legal advice, and I am not a lawyer. Seriously, contact a real lawyer if you've got a problem. My best guess on the toll lot issue is that they are, to some degree, responsible for the cars they tow, and that they would have a hard time convincing a judge or a mediator that the slashed tires aren't their problem at all. We once shared a floor in a housing project with a young man who forever endeavored to upset and unsettle anyone and everyone within earshot of his apartment. From screaming matches with his dealer to starting small fires in the hallway, barely a night went by that we didn't see, smell or somehow suffer his presence in the building. After an evening which ended with a rage-addled guest of his kicking on every door on the floor before defecating massively in the stairwell, the ladies living to our left decided to do their best to match his superlative dowry, by way of a series of small advertisements posted in the pubs, clubs and pool halls of our town listing his phone number and home address. They ensured a steady stream of human traffic harassing him for months. As I later learned, they'd snipped a snap of a comely lass from the local newspaper, covered her eyes and listed charges for adult services well below market prices. The result was an incessant stream of calls and visitors seeking bargain BJs and discount dong teasing after a long evening of drinking. Many of them understandably truculent on discovering that any dong pleasing that day would have to be self-inflicted. Not only was it a fair few months before the flow of disappointed punters dried up, but the inclusion of his address led to a visit by a contingent of coppers who came looking for H but found a stash instead. That young man went away for a while after that, and when he came back he was as good as gold. TLDR. Noisy, no good neighbor advertised as escort, rumbled by the fuzz for drugs. Truck, lentric hilmed, adjective, eager or quick to argue or fight, aggressively defiant. If they don't have a kid, make sure you sign them up for baby websites. That crap never ends. Someone did this to me a couple of years ago and I still get formula samples in the mail. You'd think they'd look at when the name was signed up and think, hey, the kid's 5 years old now. Get yourself a rotisserie chicken from your local grocery store. Have a nice chicken dinner. Maybe invite a girl over. Have a nice bottle of wine and watch a movie. But keep the bones and the cuts of meat. Then get yourself a nicely sized glass jar. Make sure it's a mason jar, so it's airtight. Next, put the bones and meat in the jar, and add milk, maybe an egg for good measure. Voila, your weapon. Now place this near an air intake in their home, preferably in a vent if you can. Dryer vent will work fine, and probably best. The deal is, this milk and chicken will rot in the jar. Crap gets rank as your crazy Uncle Ed's breath after drinking the end of a jar of pickles on garlic dish night. As it rots, gas builds up in the jar. Give it a month or so, and this gas gets built up to the point that it shatters the jar. Guess what? Your neighbors have got the most disgusting fluid known to man dripping into their home. The smell won't go away for weeks. It will be so bad they will probably leave. This, gentlemen, is the chicken dairy bomb. About 9 years ago, someone convinced our elderly office manager to get lightning insurance billed to each of our 6 business lines at $9.95 a month. They totally strong-armed her into doing it, too. From what she said, I called the company's 800 number at 6 PM to complain, but it was after hours and all they had was a recording that they were closed. I did, however, notice that the recording repeated forever instead of playing once and hanging up. I took all 6 voice lines, 2 fax lines, and 4 cell phones and called the 800 number and let the line sit on hold every night for a week, while racking up an absolute fortune for the company on their toll-free line. Frick those guys. Good luck with that. Considering they already slashed your tires, I'm sure confronting them will go very well. Yeah, it might not go so well. Do they have a nice lawn? Every once in a while fill a water balloon with water and a ton of bleach. Toss it over the fence onto the lawn. Dead spot. That's really evil, especially in my neighborhood where the hoe will call you and fine you if your lawn isn't nice looking. I know because my mom used to over fertilize her lawn and get yellow dead spots and they would harass her about it. Confronting them directly sounds like a recipe for disaster. However, letting the Democratic or Republican National Committee, or ideally both, know that they might be interested in more information. Put their phone number on Craigslist somewhere under one of the personals. Expect many text messages, voicemails, and calls throughout the night. Dinkelberg. One time an ex-friend borrowed $500. Of course he doesn't pay me. Welches. Avoids calls, emails, etc. So this guy always parked on the street, lived in a nice part of town. So in the cold winters after my buddies and I left the bar, being the DD I'd take everyone for food. Since most of the guys needed to take a pee, I'd usually take a pit stop at the Welsh's house and my mates would urinate all over his car. It'd freeze all over his car. Also, since I didn't think that was enough punishment, we rented the exact same model and color vehicle as the Welsher, put his plates on the rental and would deliberately drive through intersections with red light cameras and get him ticketed. Afterwards we'd put his plate back on. That was amazing. We were careful and did this at like 3 AM, but he must have got around $3,000 in traffic violations. Felt great. I'm not sure if you're a complete butthole or a genius. If they are people that keep a neat and pristine lawn, you could always throw down the thistle seed that the birds eat. You'll be feeding the birds and ruining their lawn with weeds at the same time. I just sprinkle powdered milk all over their yard. When the sprinklers turn on making milk and then by midday you have curdled milk. You know, you can make the impound lot pay for the tires. If they say they came in that way on their report, your neighbors are suspects for the vandalism and the police can sort it out. Also, towing and labor to an impound lot would require that you were blocking a fire hydrant or handicap space. No reputable towing company can legally tow you for parking on a street or in a labeled parking spot, like Sea Commander apartment numbered spots, until it has been occupied for 96 hours by you. I don't know if driveways are part of the city code for illegal parking, and likely they are considered fire lanes or something stupid like that. But a lot of times businesses that say they will tow at owner's expense actually end up having to pay the fees themselves and it can only be moved to another spot, not impounded. Maybe some rookie cop took the call and impounded it as a rookie mistake. P.S. My source for the towing laws is a towing company in California who were unable to tow and butthole who parked in my spot at my apartment for 2 days. They showed me the state laws regarding what can and can't be towed. This was about 8 months ago. Frick legal. These people clearly don't care about the goddamn law if they slashed your freaking tires. Gorilla glue their doors shut. You evil son of a bee. Slightly different, but in college when we got the hundreds of credit card applications in the mail we would fill the prepaid envelopes with rocks and send them back. The post office would charge them for the extra weight. One time we taped one to a cinder block. The mailman told us technically he wasn't supposed to take it, but did anyway because he thought it was funny. Screw legal. Buy multiple chains and a couple padlocks, and in the middle of the night when no one can see you, put all the chains and locks on their gate so that it cannot be opened without quite a bit of effort. But wear gloves, just in case, and put the lock on the outside of the fence. Wrap the chain so tight the gate can't move. Get the best, strongest chain you can possibly find. Love this idea. Vigilante justice is 100 times more effective than petty legal routes. Source: I'm the goddamn Batman. You can buy a valve stem remover from an AutoZone. $3 or $4, I think, and with that, remove the valve stems from their tires, flattening them in seconds. Then watch as they try to air their tires, but to no avail. You're gonna go to a hardware store and buy nails that are long enough to puncture the wall of the tire. Next, sneak over at night and wedge one nail at an angle behind each tire of their car. Wake up extra early the next morning, make an amazing breakfast and be patient. When they back the car out of the driveway to leave for work, your ears will be filled with the angelic melody of hissing air and furious profanities. Enjoy your breakfast, newly seasoned with the tears of your enemies. Oh, and if you're really dedicated, let the air out of the tires first, then use Fixer Flat to refill them. It's illegal in CA for any tire place to repair a tire that's had Fixer Flat used in it. My dad is a Reagan-era Republican and we got in a little tiff a few months back. I donated to the Democratic Party using my parents' address and house phone number. What followed was non-stop Democratic Initiative phone calls and mail. My permanent residence this election season was his addy. Cat facts. That is all. A hit had decided to frick with my computer as a prank. In return I posted an ad on Craigslist for a birthday party clown. I said I was a poor college student that needed extra cash. I did it for my lily brother and his friends' parties. Can do magic and balloon animals. $10 HR. No minimum. Then I put his cell number. Priceless. If you Google /tires Sunset Hollywood, this thread is right near the top of the charts. Which means you shouldn't do anything that will start a feud unless you're sure they don't know how to Google. You've just admitted to committing identity theft. So if your neighbors have friends on the police force you could end up with cops tracking you down from your Reddit account. Not to mention a civil case if they're angry and rich enough. And heck, you don't even know for sure it was your neighbors. It could have been the buttholes who towed your car. And you already met the towing people, so you know those guys are buttholes. I'm just guessing at that, because they always are. In a small town you might find a nice mechanic running a truck on the side, but in bigger cities the impound industry is full of scum and psychopaths who love to frick people over and then charge them exorbitant fees for it. So I would approach them, ask if they did this, see what they say, go from there, or just let it go. Putting pebbles in the dust caps on their tires would work wonders. It lets the air out slow, so if you time it right, they'll have a flat while they are not at home, instead of just coming out to find flat tires. Repeat this. Most people will never know it is happening, because they never find the evidence. It usually falls out when the cap is removed and no one knows. I was told BBs are good for that. You are entering the neighbor war games. I was drafted when I was in my early teens in my neighborhood and reigned supreme in each battle. The battle of the cars was very much like your battle of the driveway. My battle plan at the time was this. My dad hunted on occasion and had a large bottle of skunk essence. Obtain 1. My grandmother was diabetic and gave herself shots daily with small syringes. Obtain 1. Hopefully they have a car they're proud enough of that this attack will carry some sting. My neighbor's was a new Mercedes. Sneak over at night and stick the syringe through the window weather strip and squirt the skunk essence all over the interior. Do not soak any one spot but sort of spray it all over so that they cannot detect one spot that contains the stench. Do this earlier in the dead of night instead of later, like 1 instead of 4, to allow a good soak and maybe even dry time. The odor is genuinely animal and they will likely not suspect human delivery. I've helped lots of folks in the last 25 years exact the same revenge, and in every case, it's ruled that an animal sprayed the vent area near the windshield. BTW, it cannot be removed. Understand this will total their vehicle unless they replace everything you spray: carpet, headliner, seats, jute padding, headliner backing. It's effing awful. Buy a $10 car. Buy a wheel clamp. Slash the tires. Park that mother across their driveway. Send them a pinata filled with blood. They're thinking fun times for the kids and instead they get a life-scarring event no one will ever get over. You want to play games? I got more games than Parker Brothers. Sign them up for an NAMBLA membership and request that all correspondence be sent to their work address. Now that is evil. Confront them, then type up your story with address and pictures and put in mailbox of entire block so everyone knows they are butt clowns. Avoid putting things in mailboxes. The rules regarding those have severe penalties. Future post. Some butthole driver blocked us in. My daughter got sick and needed to go to the hospital, but we had to wait for the tow company to remove his dang car. Now he won't stop harassing us, slashing our tires, signing us up for magazines, etc. What should I do? Just let it go, man. You have no proof that they slashed your tires, and even if you did, you have to live near these people for a long time. Starting a war will cost you more in the long term, so go for a run, play some video games, or whatever it takes to de-stress and forget it. Yeah, whenever a vehicle is blocking a driveway in an emergency situation, the best thing to do is slash their tires so you're both fricked. OP, that's criminal damage. You'd be better off calling the police, and maybe start house hunting. 2. If they're prepared to slash your tires, that's kind of a huge red flag. The basis is the fact that the potential of a criminal charge is freaking terrifying for most of us. The plan: approach them by first apologizing and then asking if they happened to see anyone messing around with the car or if they were present when the towing service removed your vehicle. Mention that the reason you are asking is for a police report you have filed. Then ask if it would be alright if the investigating officer came around and asked them some questions. While watching them crap themselves over the potential of criminal charges, you politely apologize again and then leave them to stew over what they are going to do or say. Part 2. At this point you could do a few things. Either involve the police, probably a waste of time, wait patiently for a few months and frick with them, or just forget about it. I vote frick with them in a month or two. Good luck. Confront them and be extremely kind. Apologize for parking there etc. Ask if they happened to see anyone slash your tires. When they say no, mention how it's a shame these hooligans do this sort of thing. And say next thing you know someone's house may be set on fire, or may get shot or stabbed on the way home and never be caught for it, all while staring into their eyes without breaking contact. This will scare the crap out of them, and put them in a fear mode for a while. Also, they may not frick with you again. Take a funnel, wedge it into the rubber gasket between the car window and the door. Pour the milk into the funnel, which will fill the inside of their door with milk. You don't want to pour too much into each door, because if it starts to drip out the bottom of the door they will know where the smell is coming from. If you use the correct amount, their car will smell like rancid milk after a few days in the heat, and they will never be able to locate the source. You can use other liquids, but I find that milk is just the easiest and quickest to get your hands on. I don't know how legal this is, but if you have a dog or a neighbor who does and you can get access to its poop, smear a little underneath their car door handle so when they go to open the door they get dog crap on their fingers. It is a very unpleasant way to start the day, but overall not too damaging to cause any lasting problems. If you want a more illegal and damaging way, a couple cups worth of sugar in their gas tank will ruin their car. It will caramelize in their engine and really frick it up. The good thing about this is it will take a few days for it to take effect, so it will be unlikely to lead back to you. Finally, bologna can strip paint off of cars, so you can attach a piece of bologna to the back of their car in any shape you want. A dong is the crowd favorite. If left long enough, when the bologna is peeled off they will have an image left permanently on the side. Sugar won't do crap to the engine. It might frick up the fuel filter, but that's a cheap and easy fix. Gas and sugar won't mix together. Introduce yourself and apologize for blocking them. If you haven't met them, there's a good chance that they had no idea it was your car, or they might have said something before they had it towed. There's also a good chance that someone else slashed the tires. No one wants the tension that comes along with hated neighbors, and you really don't need to escalate what might have just been a misunderstanding. Or, you could just ignore them entirely and cut every wire on the exterior of their house. Make them handle your butt pennies. Done. Take a friend and apologize for parking wrong and inform them about the broken tires. Surely they were intact when towed, right? Then sue the impound and make them testify in court that the tires were intact when you were towed. False testimony is a crime in my jurisdiction, so either the impound or they will get you new tires. Unless you can prove it, you should probably just walk away. Otherwise things could get uglier than just a couple of slashed tires. There is a gross video online of a dude slashing a tire in the blowout, breaking his arm, leaving the bone exposed. Get a copy of that, burn to DVD, write a letter and educate them on the potential risks of their behavior. This is what a good neighbor would do, and it may actually help you with your situation. You have been visited by the romantic doggo. Comment love is magic so you never fall in the friend zone. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.